Testing, testing. One, two, three. All right. Hopefully, this is going live. Hello. I, I. All right. There we go. I don't know what's going on. It's the exact same setup that I had a minute ago. Whatever. Um, Yay, we're back in. Okay. Hey, creatives, community, kind folks out there. It's World Building Wednesday. Thank you for joining me. This is RPG with DBJ. We're going to talk about mechanics. We're going to talk about mechanics in our role-playing settings, both the actual dice and all those kind of things, the actual mechanics, and kind of trying to sell your game setting to maybe your players, especially if you have something new or interesting or whatnot. Yeah, I don't know why it cut. I never know why glitches happen when you. I mean, I'm a pretty simplistic guy as far as technology goes, and I don't like messing with things. Once it's set up, I like to keep it the way it is. All right, so I started the preamble that Sundays from 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the link is up, that each day it's probably going to take me a minimum of 2 hours to just show you the files. And then each Sunday after that, I'm going to do that. So you guys probably have to catch up onto it later. But I'm sure it's probably a YouTube thing, or maybe I'm like abusing YouTube's parameters or something like that. But anyway, the Invisible Sun RPG is like one of the most divisive, expensive tour de forces that people love or hate out in the RPG community. And I picked it up on DriveThruRPG, the PDF form of it. And I posted a kind of an interest post in the Absolute Tabletop group. I may spread the word out a little bit, but each Sunday starting this Sunday, I'm going to do a review of the game, page through, live. You guys see exactly what I see, and we'll just talk about it, get some questions in there, and basically show everyone. Now, I was going to do like a single episode, right? Like, oh, hey, I'll just do a review. And it's massive. It is a massive undertaking. And that's the thing. Well, the first myth is that the PDF is not $100. Or let me be more specific. The PDF is $99. What you get for $99 US is not a PDF. It's actually more like 20 plus files at 311 megs zipped. So it's more like 4 books, about 600 plus pages. It's everything in the black box except for the dice in the digital format. All the maps, over 1,000 cards, all the tokens, all of the artwork. It's not a PDF. It's you get it, you download it, you unzip all the damn files, and it's more like 20 something files. Now, some of those files are like a 2-page introduction. There's one that's a coupon to buy the physical game with a discount. But for the most part, it's not a the way you have to read below in DriveThruRPG. When you click the hey, I want to buy it, it says PDF $100. When you read the body of it, you actually get the entire black box. And there is a multi-page intro file that tells you how to print everything out in the game, which I think would just be daunting. But it does tell you how to print out, like, I don't know, 7 decks of cards, and like I'm just like, I would not want to. Yeah, but no. But then again, yeah, Rickard says about 15 US per book-ish. I'm going to say that. I mean, when you see $100 for one PDF, it's just like, why should I pay that? when you actually take a look at the black box and what you get, it's closer related to buying every book in a game system plus multiple maps plus all the character sheets plus all the GM handouts plus all the props plus all the cards. Like it would be like you today buying all of Wizards of the Coast digital formatted materials at one time, like all of their releases. So Rick says you even get an app. Yes, I believe that is true. Deadman Storyteller says that would be about 7 books. Well, not all the files are equally lengthed, but but yes, it's about that. Foolish Kiwi says that's a pretty reasonable price. Most of the 3.5 books I grabbed were $20, $20, and I have dozens of them. Yeah, so yeah, absolutely. It's the dip your toe price point is pretty prohibitive for most people, especially if you don't even have a gaming group. It's like, ooh, whoa, $250. Like, what the hell? I can't afford that at one time. But I think most of us, if we took a look at our bookshelf and you just started adding up all the things. Yeah. Rickard says it should have said Invisible Sun bundle, and I agree with that. They just did. I hear you, but technically it's not an Invisible Sun bundle, it's the Invisible Sun role-playing game, right? And I hear you. I think advertising wise they should have broken it up so that when you click it you can say, oh, but the thing is you wouldn't want to buy each piece separately because they're all interlinked. It's not like you can buy the player's guide and be done, and then later on I'm going to pick up the the GM guide, and then later on I'll pick up the maps. Although personally, maybe they should have done that so people could afford it. But yeah, So, Vincent says the ARG alternate reality game was pretty neat. Sadly, the game is so random that all the info I could collect from videos and clues was worth next to nothing. Oh man, yeah. I haven't been. I am not saying Monty Cook isn't a brilliant designer. If you take a look at a lot of the games, there are award-winning, and from Numenera and The Strange and such. But I don't believe he's a very good ambassador for the game, which is a kind of a strange thing to say, if that makes sense. And I've seen some of the live plays of Invisible Sun, and it hasn't struck me, but I don't believe that has anything to do with the game. I think I'm going to take a look at the game itself, and that would be it. Yeah, Foolish Kiwi says big games take a lot of stuff, I guess. VR headsets cost $400 without any games, or a good one at least, but assuming you get hours out of it, no, it's worth, that's the thing, right? I know a lot of people are just like, this is just, this is a masturbatory creation by a guy who thinks he can get away with it, and it's a cash grab. But if you take a look at what's in that bundle, he's not getting, I mean, I'm thinking he's getting a thin slice of profit. And even if he is getting, like, I don't know, $20 of profit or $50 of profit per black cube, I mean, he's put out a lot of content. I mean, the whole point of creating something is to make money. It's weird how the RPG community is like anti-marketing, anti-profit, anti-business, but they still want a ton of product. Like, that's yeah, the cost is supposed to be shared as far as I know. They uploaded a bunch of videos with short fluff text to read, and did even hide some clues all over the US. The cost is supposed to be shared as far as I know. Yeah, and as everyone says, I mean, many people have derided Gary Gygax's ventures in multiple ways. Fame and helping popularize the hobby doesn't mean infallible. Of course. Oh, and also hi. Yeah, thanks. Your Pocket GM says Monty Cook's stuff is pretty well made most of the time. His stuff can be quite niche at times, but it's worth experimenting. And Invisible Sun is absolutely experimental. It is definitely not a it hit the realm of like buying like a PS4. You know what I mean? It hit the realm of buying like some of the super high end board games or something, right? It's like his magnum opus. It is his thing. Thank you, Mythos. I hope you get that box pretty soon. I don't know how long it takes to deliver things across the border, but I hope you get it. And thank you so much for the super chat, man. You're holding it down. There's not no need to do that, but yeah. Rick would say, I would say it's not so much anti-marketing; they are anti-blatant cash grab. I agree, although um blatant cash grab is a fine line because a business to stay open needs money, right? If you're a business, and I'm not talking about like a person sitting at home on their computer and they do this as a hobby. I'm saying a real business needs money to survive, and the margins to survive as a business in the role playing region is very thin. So it's the accidental riding that blade razor's edge into cash grab versus very strong marketing is very thin. So I think on one hand, some people will go, well, I don't mind if you hit my inbox a couple times, I don't care. And others are like, you contacted me twice in a month, Jesus Christ. It's that kind of thing. Oh man. I think Visible Sun is too weird for most people. That paired with the immense cost, it makes it a very hard sell. Yeah, it is. It is. Oh, I sent Mythos some of my Rifts books. I packed it in a priority mailbox and sent it to him. I wasn't using it, so I thought he'd get some use out of it. Oh man, yeah, you guys are silly. Okay. Yeah, Vincent says RPGs sell decks of cards or special dice, though. Yeah. Zerado, he says, down with corporation. It shells out 40 or 50 bucks every 2 months for new material and D&D Beyond. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? It's like, what do we get for our investment? And part of that too is, I mean, really, if we had the success Monty Cook has had, like very few people, it's like a musician, right? Very few musicians get top 10 songs out the gate, one right after another. And he's produced some pretty impressive material, popping in from Numenera, going into the Strange, going into Cipher System, the book or whatever. And then he's just like, you know what? I'm going to throw everything on the line and produce a game that I want to play, that has everything in it that I want, that is the most massive undertaking in RPG history. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a free market, right? Don't buy it if you don't like it. But the idea, I don't know, it's just weird. Your Pocket GM says tabletop stuff is very tame compared to video game microtransactions. Oh my god, yeah. Don't worry though, I'm fixing that. Join my D&D game. You can get healing potions for just 99 cents. Vorpal swords, $20. Yeah. Oh, that'd be sick, especially if like books went away and you had to buy all that stuff, man, like a little bit at a time. Like, well, you can get the common magic items for $1, but if you want the artifacts, it's going to cost you $59.99. Yeah, want to go from 5th to 6th level? $8, right? Oh man. Yeah, mechanics are cool most of the time. Yeah. Yeah, it's oh man, you guys. Mythos' mechanics are cool, most of the fun in my opinion. I absolutely agree. Mythos says the role playing also a huge part in my opinion. Absolutely. And Pocket GM says with the way D&D Beyond is going, my joke is crouching reality. Yeah. Don't say it out too. What is it like? Say it 3 times and it becomes real. That kind of thing. Oh man, I didn't mean to go down this rabbit hole for world building. Although actually, it really does have something to do with that. Um, uh, um, we are it is a tangent to what I intended to talk about, but I just wanted to advertise to you to let you guys know that I will be reviewing the game and letting people see it and doing a live page through and getting some questions if I can and that kind of thing. Finn says, I mean, tabletop RPGs can be expensive, but mostly if you really want to buy a ton of books, which let's be honest here, you don't really need to. Exactly. So yeah, the game isn't broken up, but unfortunately, I don't know. It's a choice. Zevron says, what does mechanics mean? Like engineer mechanics or game system mechanics? Because explaining some game mechanics can be goddamn goofy, like hit points. I cannot agree with you more. And so, okay, we're gonna go into what my initial reason was for doing the live stream, but actually the initial reason is to interact, and this is the kind of stuff we talk about, sharing the digital pizza. Okay, so mechanics game wise are basically like yeah. Oh man, explaining mechanics is kind of like explaining how a car works sometimes, and it is basically a generalized form would be how you are able to accomplish something in the game using the rules. And so I guess that would be the easiest way for me to explain that. And then you got to go dive even further into that explanation. Some people consider gaming mechanics to talk about how do you achieve something with a randomizer. For example, do you roll a die 20? Do you roll a dice pool of D6s? Do you roll under or over a target number? Is it an OSR game where you roll 3d8 or a d20 and roll your attribute or under? Hey, I've got a charisma 12. Okay, to convince that guy, you have to roll your charisma 12 or under, or is it a roll over? You have a difficulty class of 15. You have to add your modifiers and to a d20 and hit that modifier or more, right? That kind of thing. Ricker was talking about like DM, that armor is only for dwarves. PC, we have no dwarves in the party. Can't we reforge it for humans? DM, do you own the armor mod? It's only $20. 1999. Yeah, it may get to that point, which we would just like be pissed off, man. Yeah, that'd be kind of messed up. Finn says there's even a weird deck. Yeah, we'll get into all that. Zebron says the situation that happened was a player woke up to an assassin wielding a knife to their throat. He said, "Move and you die." And the player thought, "I have 60 plus hit points. What's a dagger going to do?" He got mad when the DM said he died. Mother effer is a knife to your jugular. And those are the things. Okay, those one-offs are things that it's not just session zero, but is how do the mechanics of your gaming world work, and what are the one-offs of that working as well. So for that perfect example, like you guys said, a dagger does a d4. You might add a couple of points for whatever modifiers they have, but I have 60 hit points. There's no way someone can kill me if with a knife. There's no way I can take enough damage from a single strike with a knife. Even if they have a knife to my throat and they do a critical hit, they'll do 2d8 damage, right? But the narratively speaking, coffee. Thanks, Fat Ninja DM. Narratively speaking, a knife to someone's jugular means that they're dead, right? So a lot of that has to do with explaining how the rules work. And then on top of that, this is where session zeros come in. And I know a bunch of people are just like, session zeros, you guys are always talking session zeros, damn it, stupid grognards. But you also have to explain like how gritty, how realistic is this world. Matt Coble, I believe it's Matt Coble. I can't remember his first name. Anyway, one of the designers of Dungeon World. Anyway, talks about narrative positioning and how important in your world is a narrative position versus the mechanics of the game, right? Because you can only stack so many rules for all of these one-off situations before it just gets out of hand. Well, a dagger to your throat while you're sleeping does one thing, and being stabbed in your kidneys is another thing. It would be like, it's like, how many rules do you have to have for suffocation? Is there a separate rule for being strangled versus choking on smoke versus drowning versus someone covering your mouth versus choking on food versus vacuum? Do you create all these one-off rules, and then it's like, okay, no, well, maybe in our session 0 we can talk about, okay, here are the rules we're going to use for our game, and also here's how we're going to adjudicate some of these other things. And narrative positioning, Adam Coble, thank you very much, because I listened to him. Yes, Adam Coble. Anyway, he talks about narrative positioning, and that's where a narrative positioning is the air quotes, the reality of what you are doing and where your character is and the enemies and the situation you're in, supersedes the die rolls, right? It's the a gun being shot by a gun that does a maximum of 10 points can't kill me if I have 60 hit points, but the narrative positioning of having a gun to the back of my head would kill me, right? It's you know what, the rules make sense generally, but in this particular situation, a gun to the back of the head will kill you. That's it. That's all there is, right? Yeah. Mythos says session 0 is extremely important. I definitely agree. It's Adam Coble. Vince says I like him, but I consumed too much from him in the past years. I absolutely agree with you. Your pocket GM, and I have to say it in old man voice. Hey, session 0. Your kids don't even have a session -1. French toast. Zephyron says, I like trying to play around certain mechanics, like the grit system added to the Gunslinger made by Matthew Mercer, the points fed into the pulp Western action flicks we were trying to imitate. I like that too. Vincent says it's called fictional positioning, by the way. Yeah, fictional positioning. Yeah, well, yes, it is called fictional positioning. I thought I was wrong, but I was mistaken. It is basically that the situation that you are in supersedes the dynamics of the rules, because the rules can't account for every single possible outcome, and especially it can't account for like physics of your world, the motivations of the people in your world, those kind of things, right? It's basically, for example, in Dungeons and Dragons, there are no rules for setting things on fire. There's just a generalized, hey, if something's flammable, it can catch on fire, right? So do you then notate for every single thing in the game whether it catches on fire or not? And then do you then have to notate how strong that fire is before something catches on fire? So when a mage, is there a difference between a fireball and a burning hand spell? Does someone's cloak catch on fire when they're hit with a flaming arrow spell or something, right? That's the kind of thing where the, thank you, Vince, fictional positioning comes into play. And so that's where we talk about as together as a group, do we want to have those things in a game? Because a player might say, hey, I want to use my shocking hands spell to light the oil on fire to make the barrel of oil explode. Do you allow that to happen? You know what I mean? Mythos says, and be flexible if it wasn't covered in session 0, but don't be a complete dick to your players. DMs or the players will pack up their dice and go home. Exactly. And then as a player, like, do you like fold your arms and put a hard stop to the game? Or do you go, you know what, I trust the DM, and if I have an issue with it, let's talk about it afterwards, right? That's the kind of thing. Foolish Kiwi says high fatality games can be fun too, though. I personally enjoy the tension of knowing one tactical slip may be the end of me. The adrenaline rush is quite immersive. And Rickard says that's a good old man voice, because I'm an old man. But Kiwi brings up the point of bringing up like the tactical slip. It can be fun to the tension of whether you're going to die or not. There's a lot of players that don't like that. Even if you know you're going to be killed, there are a lot of players that are like, listen, I spent 45 minutes making up my player character. I don't want them to die. And then everyone's like shrugging their shoulders like, well, dude, you decided to play in a high gritty, I can die at any moment game. What's your deal? Right? So it's reinforcing those things. Like, listen, you do realize like we're playing Saving Private Ryan, right? Your character could die at any moment and not even have a retributive strike, right? Deal with it. And put that on the table. Be upfront with that. Understand, even as a DM, sometimes just be metagame about it. Hey guys, you're about to enter into a fight. You do realize you're probably going to die. There's a good chance on a bad die roll, you may die. We're going to have 3 combats this session. There's a good chance you might die. Oh man, Dead Man Storyteller gives me a squirrel. Thanks, dude. Yeah, we always squirrel. Yeah, yeah, tons of squirreling, I think. As everyone says, nobody can account for the bard saying, I rolled a seduced, no matter how big, slimy, spiky, gelatinous, or chitinous. True, but again, it is the fictional positioning, right? Hey, in my world, I don't care what your charisma is. You're not going to seduce an ooze unless the ooze is sentient, right? It's the dumb. What's the meme that went around? The dwarf fails a climbing check and falls off the cliff and goes, "Can I make a save to flap my arms and fly?" Like, no, we're playing like a Game of Thrones super gritty. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can do that. You're still going to die flapping your arms, but no, you can't seduce a ooze. You can't. I don't know what are some other super ridiculous things that people try to do. You can't hide in your own bag of holding. You can't shove a castle down into a portable hole. That's just not going to happen in this game world. It's too gritty. We've already decided together. I understand you're trying to have fun, but we're not going to do a chuckle fuck kind of game, right? Our job is we're going to buy into the theme, and that's where session zeros come in and explaining how we're going to use the rules. Hey, these rules are going to be used for this thing, but the reality of the situation is going to override it. Or we can say, go the other way. Listen, guys, I understand it's more realistic to, pretty much have your throat cut, but we're going to make this extremely cinematic. We're just going to go by the rules. No, we're going to explain it cinematically, right? Why you can't be stabbed in the throat. Excuse me. Foolish Kiwi says, I always accounted for it. Time to roll sexual appeal, charisma plus comeliness plus outfit bonus. Go! Yeah, exactly. Mythos says, in my first D&D game I played, the DM had a training stats system, i.e. training strength through weightlifting, damage to health trains endurance. There are some games that do that. Some games do it through a failing system, fail forward. Some do it through success forward. But I'd have to see what that means. Your Pocket GM says, one of the biggest strengths as a GM is to know when to bring out the big guns. I guess in that knife example, the GM should have said, it's a +5 keen vorpal poison knife. Yeah, but no. I mean, yes, I get you. I know you're being sarcastic, but on the other hand, then the player says, "Oh, can I keep it when I punch the thug in the throat?" But your Pocket GM goes on to say anything to make the players take the situation more seriously than usual. Now, Now you could go into the rules and kind of go like, well, in this particular situation, they get a +10 to hit, and they're going to do like quadruple damage or some strange thing like that. But then you're just like I think by the time before you start heavily modifying rules, I think basically the fictional positioning takes over, and it's just like, all right, I'm not going to plaster together some off the wall rules. I'm just going to tell you, guy, listen, your character is going to die if you don't listen to what this person says, taking away their agency temporarily to then give it back to them wholeheartedly when the situation is over, right? Oh man. Your pocket GM. I roll to eat my own head. We've seen some pretty foolish things going on. It's the hand of Vecna situation. I cut off my own hand to put on the skeletal hand and attach it to the stump. And it's just like, wait, you're cutting off your own hand? Like, would anybody really do that? That's crazy. Right. Vincent says you can't punch down a wall with your bare fists. You can't lift that car, not even with strength 20. Yeah, right. 14 people. Whoa, that's a lot of people coming in. Thanks, guys. Wow, 14. Deadman says 14 people watching. That's we're getting to a record here, which is kind of bizarre considering that, you know, this old man is being a little sarcastic with the chat. Everyone says, I will say I don't want to die in D&D only because I feel disappointed in the potential stories that character can't see or can't begin. I'll stick with the death if it happens, though. I agree with that, and that's where we talk about, right, as a DM or GM, you know, in session 0, do I have the option to say, okay, this killing stroke, can I say you're captured or knocked out or in a coma, or in some games they'll say you are out of play, which means that, I'm not going to say this, that your character is not able to partake in the rest of what's going on when you drop to 0, but in a moment, give me a chance to think about what an interesting outcome would be, right? That's where we talk about those things in like session 0, and we can talk about, you know, okay, we're going to use the mechanics for death saves up to this point, right? Although there are many games where we tend not to read the part where it says, hey, when someone drops to 0, they're either dead or knocked out, right? And incorporating those things. Rickard says, the DM can you can make a check, PC. Nat 20. DM, you make the most graceful imitation of the flight of the birds that any human has ever done. 5 seconds later, a red stain appears on the ground below. Talking about the flapping my arms to save myself from dying. You know, yeah, some fictional positioning just is ridiculous no matter what the player says. And granted, you know, we all know that the players is like trying to pull something out of their ass, like, I don't want my character to die, please let me make a roll for that. And sure, you can make a roll for that, but within the context of the game, whether it's very cinematic or very realistic, you know, we would have to explain it. Now, of course, you could always say you fall off the cliff, and instead of dying, your foot gets yanked into, I don't know, some vines or something, and your head hits the wall and you're knocked out, but the other PCs can go try to grab you to keep you from falling all the way down into the gorge. Like, you can always do those kind of things. I'm going to give you an example in a minute once I get back into this chat. The chat's moving by real quick. Your Pocket GM says, I think one of my favorite single mechanics in tabletop RPGs is the exploding dice. It can even get extremely intense to see how many dice you get to actually roll. I agree with you. Sometimes you can even add those things in. I've heard of the idea of adding exploding dice in the 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons to make it more lethal and fun and exciting. So the example would be like you roll damage for your longsword. It's a D8, and if you roll an 8, you get to roll again, and if you roll another 8, you get to roll again, which means that a dagger, which does a D4, has a greater chance of exploding. but also has a less chance of doing far more damage, if that makes sense. So a dagger to the throat might do a D4. You roll a 4, you get to roll again. You roll a 4, you get to roll again. You roll a 3, right? So there's a 25% chance of exploding, whereas a D10 only has a 10% chance. But the D10 probably overall will make more of an outcome on the offset or something. So I've seen that happen before. Vince says can't join anymore at this time. Oh man. Vince says sadly last week for me, new job, I believe, if that's not the if I'm not mistaken. Dante says the wound system was what I used in our games. Rule of thumb was common sense went to your wound track for any needed situation. Yeah, broken bones, exhaustion, arrow to the shoulder, twisted ankle, those broken ribs, those kind of things. Yeah. Janny, what's going on? I draw the line between bad luck and stupid decisions. Yeah. And you know what? We can't forget that in the narrative positioning realm, or fictional positioning realm, that sometimes success and failure in our mechanics may not have anything to do with our success or our personal failure. So an example would be you go to shoot your arrow at someone and a bird flies in the way, or you're swinging your sword at someone and it's a muddy hill and both you and your opponent slip and fall and lose your footing on the mud for a split second, right? High winds, I don't know, a tapestry falls in the way, a guard calls another guard over to get a drink when you're trying to sneak past or something, and one guard's like, hey, you want to come over here for a drink? And now there's like 3 guards sitting around your hiding location, right? Sometimes things could happen. It's like you didn't really fail your stealth roll. What happened was the situation changed. So you can do those kind of things as well. Rickard says, as someone who's had exploding dice in Pathfinder, it's a bad idea. It gets ludicrous real fast, which is another thing too. We tend to forget we can add asterisks. So if we're world building and we go, hey guys, listen, I'm going to import this rule from this other game, or I'm going to modify the rules, everything comes with an asterisk, and that asterisk is, listen, if this doesn't work, we're going to just drop it, right? It's I want to change armor class and how armor class is done to a damage reduction system. So instead of armor class, we're going to do dodge and damage reduction. So your dodge is so if you wear armor, your dodge is your dex mod. So it's 10 plus your dex mod. And then whatever armor you're wearing subtracts either, I don't know, 1, 2, or 3 points from all damage you take. Or armor has hit points to it. Whether, like, if you're wearing chainmail, it has 8 hit points. If you're wearing plate mail, it's got 14 hit points to it. And you could come up with those things with an asterisk that says, listen, if it doesn't work, guys, even in the middle, we've gone 3 sessions, this isn't working. Let's go back to the way it used to be, right? Nothing wrong with that in a session 0 to say, listen, these are the rules, and then the rule, the rule 0 or rule 0.1 or 1.1 rule is, if it doesn't work, we're going to change it, even if it means that some of the things we did before might change, which some people might say, well, they're going to modify my character, but whatever. There are no RPG police, unless there really are. Where are we at? There we go. Dante says, I know you have fire resistant 30. You still can't swim through the lava pit, right? Exactly. Sometimes the fictional position supersedes what we're doing, or even the common sense of it, right? If you're the barbarian that has resistance against all this damage, but you're going, listen, that doesn't make. No, you can't jump. You can't dive roll into a pit with spikes at the bottom just because you have resistance to spikes, right? I mean, to piercing damage. It's still foolish. You know what I mean? So yeah, Foolish Kiwi says, in high lethality games with guns, I often use both AC and DR for armor, giving it the same DR it gains in AC. Okay, and nothing. What was one house rule I thought was excellent? I I hope some of you remember who it was who said, um, to make large and small creatures have a huge difference in 5th edition, that they step the die rolls up or down based on that creature. So what I mean is, and I didn't make up this house rule, but the house rule was, if I grab a weapon and it does a D8 against a medium creature, it does a D6 against a large creature, a D4 against a huge creature, D3 against a gigantic creature, something like that. So if you cast like a fireball, I'm thinking a fireball does like, 8d6 against a medium creature, but would do 8d4 against a large creature and 8d3 against a huge creature, etc. So I like those kind of rules. I absolutely love those things. Zevron08 says, although talking to Mythos, says, I have a homebrew rule. Nat 20 is a guaranteed success and your actions are considered legendary. Stories will be told about it, but if you roll a 1, you still succeed, but it's on accident. Yeah. Mythos, thank you for the super chat, man. It says, meet comments before Dante's. Did I? Oh, okay, I see it. There's a line. Yeah. So Mythos goes on and says, first of all, thank you for the super chat. Goes on and says, one time we were fighting a Hydra at sea, and we had a Psy warrior who could walk on water. And I thought I throw my javelin at the Hydra and rolled a nat 1 and hit the warrior, which turned out to be a blessing. The DM said if I had hit the Hydra, it was weak enough to kill, and I would have lost my javelin. Also, the warrior was played by the DM. The whole time I was happy to roll a nat 1, which now I'm assuming that the javelin was absolutely special to you, maybe magical or something like that. But those happy accidents do happen, and it's not every like nat 1 or nat 20 can play out the way it normally does. And by the way, thank you very much, Bethos. But yeah, not every nat 20 is exactly the same, and not every nat 1 is the same. And there can be some fun, what happy accidents, right? Instead of, I think sometimes we GMs or DMs. Oh, Rickard, sorry, man. No problems, man. You gotta, life happens, man. You gotta go to work. So, but thanks all the time for joining me. Thanks for keeping me on my toes as well. And have a good one, man. Yeah, Mythos says it was a special magic javelin, special to me. Yes, you assumed right. I was absolutely. Hey, if I lost my magic item, I'm like, no. Well, now mind you, it might have been epic to take out the Hydra, but I get it. But here's the thing, though. There are many. How can I say this? I think some people don't like rolling 1s and having them fumbles, not because of the failure, but because of us as DMs or GMs making those failures ridiculous. And I think that is a session 0. If we're going to talk about nat 20s and nat 1s, like for me at my table, a nat 1 always fails, a nat 20 always succeeds, even in skill rolls, doesn't matter. But because it's just a 5% chance of success or failure, right? A person that does not know how to pick a lock can accidentally pick a lock, as well as a paladin in plate mail could accidentally sneak past a couple of alert guards, even though they're in plate mail, right? There's a chance it could happen. There's also a chance that a very excellent warrior could fail to hit their target, even if they're even if they are an expert at it. Sometimes things just happen, but depending on the game, I'm not going to make them the butt of a joke, when someone fails. And I think that's where the problem comes in. As everybody says, I live for ridiculousness. I get it. And sometimes it depends. If you're going to go high cinematic, high PG-13, maybe some inside jokes, maybe some like you're watching a movie where everyone makes like little like one-liners and stuff, and that's kind of the game you're playing. I don't care about that. The trip and fall, the hitting your own ally, the striking yourself with the sword in the back and all that kind of weirdness, sure. But if you're playing something gritty, something realistic, something where, a horror style game or a noir style game where the theme is that it's realistic. That Nat 1 might just could be something far more story involved. An old wound overcomes you, maybe a little bit of fear, maybe some hesitation, something like that, right? Whereas, as opposed to the ridiculous, hey, let's roll on a fumble table and see what dumb, stupid thing happens to you, right? Mitha says, I pulled it out of my bag of many things. It wasn't overpowered, but to my half elf, it meant the world, and that's the important thing, right? It is shaping the story about the things that we find important, not necessarily what the gaming mechanics are, which is another thing we could talk about as well. Dante says, love Zev, got to pop off to work. Us. Hey, man, us. Have a good one, man. Thanks for joining me, D. Have a great one. I'm glad I could fulfill your day with ridiculousness. Zebra said, you throw the alchemist fire at the enemy, only you forgot to let go. Yeah. Yeah, you throw it and you drop it at your feet, dumb stuff. I mean, sure, those kind of things could happen. Maybe the alchemist fire doesn't go, the fire goes out and you throw the bottle and it doesn't break. As everyone said, this new phone keyboard is so awkward. Yeah, and I got fat thumbs too. Don't worry about it. I try my best to interpret what you guys are saying. It is not my intention to be verbatim and pick with you. I get it. I absolutely get it. So no worries there. But we didn't even world build with some mechanics. The whole point of this talk, and I hope you guys are getting the fact that Jenny, what are you saying? Yeah, Zevron says, or you throw the alchemist fire, but a swift breeze blows out the fire. Sure, I would say that, and I would say even maybe the jar doesn't break, so you could maybe recover it, or an enemy finds it, or someone kicks it out the way. I mean, that would be kind of cool too, because that, to me, that just complicates things, and I like complications. Jenny says, about gnats, maybe the attack connects normally, but the enemy staggers backwards, hitting the wall and accidentally opening a secret passage, etc. Oh man, I love that. Because all that does is increase the storyline and opens more, like you said, opens more passages for the story. HL Malazan, what is your opinion on the duel of wits mechanism from Burning Wheel? I hate to tell you this, I don't know the rules. Sorry. I will. Okay, here's the deal. I'll look it up. I won't look it up right now, but I will look it up. So I apologize for not being able to answer it, but I will definitely look it up. I don't own Burning Wheel, and I've never played it. I've heard people say that it has it's a little has mechanical fiddly bits, but people that play it swear by it. So I cannot. So yes, I will answer it. I can't answer it right now because I'll get top-headed if I start looking it up. Top-headed meaning like I'll get into Google and I'll put my head down and stop talking. That's what I mean. So no. Foolish Kiwi says, don't worry, DBJ has deciphered my messages through such depths of gin that the Pentagon's top cryptologists are still working on it 24/7. Yeah, you don't worry. You guys can have a couple of drinks or be half awake or whatever the hell you guys are doing. I'll read through it. So I apologize, HL Malazan, I believe I'm going to call you Malazan, man. Don't worry about it. So here's the deal. Also with something that Janny brought out about the enemy staggering backwards and accidentally opening up a secret passage. I have a very old video where I talk about nat 20s, and yeah, no problem. Yeah, look forward to it. No, I promise I actually will do that. But here's the deal. One person asked me a question about rolling a nat 20 and then rolling for damage. This is for Dungeons and Dragons, and then rolling like 2 points of damage. Like, how the hell do you explain that? And I explained it this way. I said, because this actually happened in a game that I ran where Archer pulls back arrow shoots at Orc Chieftain. And I said, okay, the arrow slices past the Orc Chieftain's throat, doing 2 points of damage. And explained it like, okay, the next time if you don't order your troops back, the next arrow is going to go straight into your eye, right? It is giving the benefit of the doubt for the nat 20, even though the damage wasn't very high, right? It's acknowledging the nat 20 to say that this was a legendary action, and even though the die roll, the damage wasn't very high, giving them the benefit of the doubt. Look, you rolled a nat 20. That is sweet. Okay, the damage wasn't high, but everyone should know that they are impressed by what the hell you just did. Here you go. Machine Baby says, okay, Machine Baby says, reference, here we go. Duel of Wits, it's great. Complicated maybe by D&D terms. It's essentially a war of attrition, roll by roll, emulating the back and forth of an argument. So I'm okay, let me decipher this. And although I may get the rule wrong, I hope this is a way that some people can adjudicate these things. Skill contests in games are a thing that you can import from anywhere. So skill contest or attribute contest or whatever the case you want to call it is this way. Basically, you and your opponent have roles. Let's make them charisma rolls or intelligence rolls or persuasion rolls or acrobatics rolls, right? Especially useful in a chase or whatever, if it's a physical thing, or an argument, if it's a charisma thing or what have you. Both sides roll, and then what happens is high roll wins, or success wins over failure, and the better success wins over the person with the lower success. So maybe someone that rolls a 12 and still succeeds loses over someone that rolls a 17 and still succeeds on a d20 if you're rolling high. Now, what you could do in those situations, you could do it pass fail, right? My acrobatics roll against the guards chasing me, and I'm doing roof jumping, I'm free running, I'm doing my parkour because like I'm an Assassin's Creed type character. I'm running rooftops, the guards are running on the ground, they're chasing me down. I'm using acrobatics, they're using investigation to track me. Who wins? Okay, I'm the DM, I roll investigation, PC rolls acrobatics, high roll wins. But what you could do is you could also set up a number of successes needed to win. So you could have 3, let's say a number 3. Okay, to escape the city, you have to have 3 successes of an acrobatics to escape through the city, over the rooftops and over the wall of the city state before I gain 3 successes in investigation to track you down and surround you with the guards, right? And in an argument, you can do the exact same thing. So my character is trying to convince the king to send troops to defend the outer villages, but his sage, his right hand man, his chancellor is saying, no, don't give it to the PCs. So my charisma persuasion is working against the chancellor's charisma persuasion, and we have to have 5 successes to convince the king, right? And the first person to get 5 successes wins. That could be a possibility. You could also do it on a time level as well. So a time scale could be you have 5 rounds to earn 3 successes. Okay, you're in a raging river. The raging river is taking you all the way, drawing you down the river, and you need to get 3 swimming athletics rolls or swimming successes to get to a shore, but you have 5 rounds to do it. If not, you're going to go over the waterfall and suffer a lot of damage, that kind of thing. Foolish Kiwi says, of course, if a player really goes all in, the bard tries to actually sing a small sonnet, they will receive bonuses. I agree with that. Zevron says, ever since I have drawn him with differing prosthesis, depending on the area, if they have skilled enough crafting, the dwarven capital in my game basically made Adam Jensen's arms from Deus Ex for me. Don't know the reference. You guys are talking personally. Sorry. I'm trying to I'm not following the reference. So I apologize for that. Oh shit. Sorry. There we go. Sorry, the chat moved on me. Apologize for that. Zevron says, I remember my favorite paladin, Orion or Orion, had got hit by a mean crit. I think it was a 6d10. Ooh, it was severely damaged. DM took the optional rule of limb loss and said I lost my arm. It was cool though, because I got a new Warforged arm and got mechanical attachments. And here's the deal, right? When you're talking about Mythos and Zevron, and Mythos says, yeah, his character lost his arm. The thing is that, because I had a similar situation with a character too, where he lost their hand. But here's the deal. You trusted your DM to do that. First, you trusted the DM to allow something like that to happen, right? And which isn't probably in the rules. Allowed it to happen and then made something cool to come out of it. I played GURPS where I had a very honorable character and the PCs were trying to torture like some kind of orc or something. And I was like, no, like Rook Crichton was very honorable. He was like, no, I'm gonna let you go. It's wrong that you're torturing him. I gave threw him a sword, this little but beat up sword. The DM roll, got a crit, cut my character's hand off. And GURPS is actually kind of easy to do that. Cut my character's hand off. And I was like, no, I'm gonna play the character. And eventually what ended up happening is the orc escaped, ran away. The other PCs were mad at me. And like 3 games later, the orc tribe honored my character because the orc that escaped realized what happened. And my character didn't have a very high like persuasion or anything, but I was pivotal in stopping a war. And then they ended up forging a hand for my character. But yeah, that was a cool thing that they added in. And I was like, no, I'm going to play the character. And the DM eventually gave me, in GURPS, you have like advantages and drawbacks and disadvantages, which give you points. And he gave me points for having one hand to allow me to increase my skills, which kind of not broke the game, but it was after character creation. So we agreed on that. And that was the kind of thing. Yeah. So yes. And I like the idea that it was drawn with different, like a Deus Ex mechanical arm for a dwarf. I love that kind of thing. I think that's cool. And the only way that kind of stuff happens in game is to let it happen. You know what I mean? As a player, instead of going, no, I'm just going to take hit point damage. No, I don't want to lose my character's arm. But look at the story that came out of it, right? Keely says, we recently had a cleric get petrified, but only failed to save by 1. So his hand was petrified, being stuck into his shield permanently, but he was alive. I like that. He can't sleep comfortably or do many things that need 2 hands or contort in small spaces, but he's still breathing. Yeah. But that's kind of cool though. I love stuff like that. I love like one-offs. Like it's not part of the game and it's not really punishment so much as a complication, right? Hey, my hand turned to stone. Okay, well, you really can't sleep very well and you can't let go of your shield, but guess what? Your hand won't be hurt by acid either. And maybe you could punch somebody for like D6 damage or something. Why not? Zevron says, yeah, he asked if that was okay. I asked if I could find Warforged style prosthesis. He said, if I can find a craftsman. So he said, I can if I can find a craftsman. So I was fine with it. Even if I couldn't, I worked the arm like Arn from FFX. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. From then on. Yeah. Wow, man. The character losses. Yeah. See, I love stuff like that. I love opening those doorways for things. Like I would, even if let's say the character was a mage and lost their arm, I would go, okay, well, maybe some of your magic is limited, but I'm going to give you this other thing, if you're able to find a craftsperson to forge this arm. You're so silly. Mythos says, so if Mythos lost his javelin, I would have asked my DM to make a will save not to kill himself. No. Don't do that, man. Don't do that. Oh man. Foolish Kiwi says that stone hand ended up having that Hellboy feel. Yeah. Oh man. See, that's what I thought about. I wasn't going to say that, but that's what I thought about. Because who knows? Maybe that stone hand might go on to bigger and better things. Or hey, Mythos, if you lost that javelin and it really felt special to your character, I would have had a story where you went to go after it or something. I would have diverged the story a little bit. Maybe it led to something else. You go down in the underwater realm in the underworld or something. Sure. But anyway, guys, we hit the hour mark. I'm so what is it, 12 of you guys up in here? Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. We've hit the hour mark. So yeah, got to see you guys, man. Yeah. Foolish Kiwi says, see you guys, smash that like button. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, like, share, subscribe. If long form, squirrely, off the top of the cuff, generalized talking, hanging out with sharing some digital pizza is your kind of thing, just think about hitting that like button, share, subscribe. Join the Discord. If you like interacting with the people in the chat, join the Discord. All that stuff is located in the doobly-doo below the video. So do all those kind of things. And yeah, just, I don't know, help support the channel a little bit. That's that's the price of, unfortunately, being on YouTube, man. So guys, everyone have a great one. Man, just one last thing. Zevron says, my most recent version of Arion had a Bifrost arm, rainbow magic that is the strength of the realms personified. Damn. Yeah. Foolish Q says, mission accomplished. Dead Man the Storyteller says, crazy squirrel. I know, man. I know. Yeah, I know. That's why I need you around. That's why I need a Dead Man. You know what? One day I'm gonna. I hate to tell you this, but your names in the chat I have a visual of who you are, not as a human being, but like Dead Man reminds me of a zombified sage with a dark cloak, and all you can see is it's just a shadowy face and a chin with a big open book, and every time I'm wrong, just flips one page, boom, and a skeletal finger points out. All of you guys remind me of something, so maybe one day I might go through that, let you guys know. Oh man, thank you very much for the super chat, Mythos. Mrs. DBJ needs me. Yes, she does need me. I need to go. Guys, I will see thee tomorrow. Tomorrow is Third Pillar Thursdays. Everyone have a great day. Thank you very much for the super chat, Mythos. Don't go broke doing it, but I really appreciate it. Maybe you might start to make other people kind of nudge them in the direction to throw in a tip or two. Don't leave them alone. Don't make Mythos the only one. And by the way, let me know when you receive that private message or in the chat or something like that when you see that package. Guys, have a great one. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.